Android 17, Lapis. We don't know how he grew up, but if you had to guess, he and his twin sister, Lazuli, went the way of the punk, second only to Kami in nature. After being groomed by Dr. Gero here in America, Lapis was born again as 17, and somehow wasn't brainwashed into being a proper person. Hashtag 1718 is coupled with an eternal furnace system built into them. Just wanted to make a note of that. Their temperament proved aggro as fuck when they were put to sleep once again for safekeeping, and zero successful changes to their personality. Dr. Gero got jumped by Vegeta and the Z Fighters, Z, and resorted to 17 and 18. After fucking with him, they couldn't help with themselves. And stealing their one and only shutoff switch. 17 actually guessed correct that Android 19 was the one to help turn Dr. Gero into a cyborg. She also guessed that 19 was an absorption type, so they're both batting 100 in wisdom. Age of Consent spots Android 16 and is curious as to how they are different. She sees similarities before differences. 17 is just as curious and wants to boot him up, even if he may be stronger than 17 18 themselves. 17 and 18 do not fear power. Note that 17 and 18 don't harm Gero himself until he threatens to put them back to sleep, if left to his own devices. He did no more than that. That's pretty reasonable. He is concerned with the pipes being damaged during 16's upload and suggests they hurry. In this canon event is where the timeline splits. You see, in the original timeline, 17 and 18 both act like children in the most darkest, twisted way imaginable. They act like your bosses, following anger and frustration with salting and upending the earth. Playing Ranger Boy with a gun 17 doesn't actually need. It's just a prop to play games of death with. Effort is beneath them. They think it's stupid. They couldn't fathom anyone or anything being stronger than them. So what changed them? 16 awakens and is unresponsive. 17 wants to see him move and ask him his opinion on being outside after so long. 18 wants to know whether or not 16 can or will destroy them both. 16 remains unresponsive. 17 doesn't care if 16 is keeping secrets or simply chooses not to speak. He asks him one more thing, if he wants to leave with them. 17 seems drawn to 16. Shot in the dark yet again, he asks if 16 was designed to kill Son Goku. Like clockwork, 16 responds, yes. 17 still holds a grudge against the dearly departed Gero, but it doesn't keep him from making up an artificial goal. If it's to kill someone he's never met, then so be it. Both 17 and 18 leave with 16 in search of this new goal. 17 doesn't refer to himself as a human, but as a cyborg, quote unquote, objectifying his own existence, and in turn his goal. Which, ironically, is the most human thing there is. We all resolved ourselves to make legitimate sacrifices in order to achieve a goal, even for ends that are never ending and not our own. As far as goals go, this one seems pretty doable, all things considered. Although 17 and 18 seem very impartial to the whole murder plot. It was even the murder plot developed by their kidnapper. So what gives? I suppose all of that is in the past now, and all that's real is right in front of 17 and 18, which is this life-size G.I. Joe looking for smoke. I too would like to know where it's all heading. 17 suggests for the gang to take their time, as he feels no need to rush towards the premeditated murder attempt. He wants to steal a car and get around using that, which admittedly is not murder, but still chaotic neutral much? 18 knows the humanity shining through with 17's meaningless stuff, quote unquote. 17 assumes 16 gets him, but he doesn't. 17 is different from them both, and affirmed to be alone. In 17's head, he ponders Cell. Vegeta interrupts 17's thoughts and questions their motives. 18 responds with it being killing Goku, which isn't incorrect, and she might have said it because she's bored, and it's both funny / probably means something to Vegeta. Vegeta claims to be able to defeat them, and again, they don't believe it. 18 asks to see 16 fight, but he retracts consent. 17 and 18 were shocked for a moment. 17 doesn't understand why he didn't follow orders and refused. He thinks 16 being a robot is odd. I guess he didn't think Jiro's guidelines were so strict. 17 decides she'll fight in his stead. 17 and 18 appear to be entertained by fights and fighting alike. Very Saiyan of them. 17 gives Vegeta his props. His power level is definitely superhuman. The first human they meet yells at them for standing around and threatens them with potential death if they don't move fast. In an ironic twist of fate, it was he who was too late. 17, as perceptive as ever, thinks Vegeta is holding back. 18 also claims to be holding back. It seems not going all out from the jump is part of her playful nature. The gang finally arrives, and 17 assumes 18's fitting to get jumped and suggests 16 fights as well, but consent has not been acknowledged. 17, frustrated, asks why 16 was even built. 16 responds with the obvious, killing Son Goku, which is an answer. 17 accepts this response and joins 18 as backup. 18 says that any cowards may leave now, as they are only interested in fighting the brave. But Vegeta doesn't get it, because he's gonna kill them both right now and would rather die than have anyone's help in doing so. Which brings 17's adulations. He respects Vegeta's strong, independent woman speech. Perhaps 17 too would rather die than receive someone's help. A very tragic and common human trait. 17 relates to the spirit of Bushido, quote unquote, which is like a code of conduct for samurai warriors. Does 17 follow this code too? Or is he just familiar? Integrity, respect, heroic courage, honor, compassion, honesty, loyalty. These are the 7 virtues of the Bushido. Integrity can be seen in their sketch and aimless yet decisive actions so far. Hmm. They respected 16's consent form. They do have it in them to live life fully. I'll give them loyalty, compassion, and honor, helping others. The decisions they make and how it's carried out is truly yet to be judged. Oh, wow. That's like a percent 60 so far. That's more than half. Let them cook. 18 asks for Vegeta's consent, and they continue their fight. 18 is calm in every move she makes, and every attack is thrown her way. She has been conditioned not to show emotion when attacked. Instead, she acknowledges Vegeta's strength and asks if her target, Goku, is even stronger. Vegeta says he's not, and 18 pokes at his ego for fun. 18 and 17 are capable of manipulating emotions. 17 even hacked a robot this way. It's part of their charm, and it shows that they themselves have emotions and are smart enough to acknowledge them. Perhaps smart enough for ego death. 17 hears Tien rooting for Vegeta to kill his sister, and he just glares at him. Like, 17's not right there. Chapter 354, The Confident Cyborgs. 17 follows through and makes quick work of everyone butting in on the one-on-one, including one-shotting the Demon King Piccolo at his best. 18 cripples Vegeta for being too spicy boy. It was an exclusive girl boss decision. 17 makes a note of the glowing Trunks, but brushes him off despite knowing nothing about him. Instead, he flies to Krillin to tell him that he didn't kill anyone, and suggests Krillin uses a senzu to make him better. And that's it. 18 interjects, wondering if he's even going to question Krillin on the whereabouts of Son Goku. But 17 thinks it's more exciting to look for him without clues, and suggests that if they really want to find him, then they should just start destroying stuff. 18 calls him childish for choosing to dick around, but 17 doesn't get it. Haha, that was a pretty funny joke there, 17. 17? That was a joke, right? Hold on. Is the difference between the current Lapis and Lazuli and the future 17 and 18 that they never found Goku? Because he died in the original timeline. It would be kind of funny if they just started destroying stuff just so a Superman figure can come and try to stop them. I can imagine the boredom. And they didn't even outlive anyone naturally by that time. Just a thought. Stupid thought. 17 notices 16 looking elsewhere. 16 was looking at the little birds, which is a function that dumbfounds 17. 18 wants to move somewhere with more traffic in order to steal a car proper and get new clothes. 17 wants to knock out two birds with one stone, decides to head to the nearest village. Not before being confronted by a very afraid Krillin. Krillin asks Lapis and Lazuli straight up, "What are your intentions? Goals?" 17 responds, "Oh, I guess we'll defeat Son Goku. Then it's on to the next goal." First of all, it doesn't sound like he wants to kill anyone. And secondly, base. Krillin follows up with some good points that I brought up earlier, but 17 admits that life is a game to him, and he unlocked creative mode. Again, based! Krillin, passive aggressive as ever, asks that if he hypothetically asked them to stop hunting his best friend for sport, would they relent? 16 says no. 17 confirms 16 indeed say no. 18's love language is physical touch, because she can. The next we see the trio, they have found a car at last. It's a delivery van. 17 says the boxes in the back are in the way. 16 promptly tips the van and solves all the problems. Except 18 still needs new clothes. They really went and stole a car. I wonder if it was even the first time. While driving, they ponder the whereabouts of Goku. When 16 reveals he has a built-in tracker of the leper, he even gives a smug look like, yeah, I knew, but I just wanted to play along too. Okay, but if that's the case, why did he say he didn't know why they should get into a car? Kind of sandbag 17. Feel kind of sorry for him now. 17 probably answers that question right here, because this waste of time, quote unquote, is in fact fun, quote unquote. 18 finally finds a clothing store and seems to have just asked for a change of clothes real quick because she went through the trouble of putting them on and calls them ugly as she peers into the mirror. And, well, you know, she doesn't have any money, so 16 scares the clerk off with his scary face and drives off without a fight. Is it perhaps 18's own reflection she finds ugly? Is it how she feels about herself in this point in time? "17 seems to think she looks fine. The clothes are a go though. 18 insists they look in another city. As a result of the Grand Theft Auto, they are being pursued, making 18 go all Justice League on them and destroy their engine, resulting in a non-lethal crash. 17 and 18 notice the smoke in the air due to the nearby battle with Cell. 17 sees 16. As a change of pace, he starts to open up to 17 and 18 about the battle and his capabilities. He says that one of the powers can rival 17, which, as you can imagine, 17 couldn't, and dismissed the whole thing to find the next clothing store. We catch up with them at Gohan and Chi-Chi's home. 18 got to pick out her own clothes this time, thank God. She looks like a biker, I think. Hopefully she didn't have to beat someone to death to get them, Terminator style. 17, I guess, gives up and asks 16 where Goku could be, and he decides on flying to Kame House this time. I guess flying is fun too. They make it to the reclusive sage's shelter in record time. 17 greets God. Does he remember Piccolo? And asks if Goku's here, like it's some kind of playdate of death. Piccolo tells them to get the hell out when 17 asks where Goku could be. 17 then literally chooses violence by threatening the use of force. Maybe it's something about the visage of God that triggers him. I don't know. Young men and authority figures and all that. Piccolo, not backing down, makes 17 question if Piccolo will ever learn. So he does remember! Piccolo suggests the nearby deserted island, and 17 goes along with it. When they get there, 17 threatens to kill Kami if he doesn't talk. But Piccolo doesn't think it'll be so easy for 17 anymore. And it's here. 17 doesn't understand why Piccolo would fight him again if he knows he can't beat him. He thinks Piccolo is either buying time or just plain stupid. And Piccolo's just thinking, oh, he got me. I'm buying time. 17 claims that Piccolo only has to fight him, and the fight itself will just be a waste of time, quote unquote. You know, fun, quote unquote. 17 gets a clue that he isn't fighting Piccolo, but the power of the god of Earth. 17 gets mollywopped quicker than the Dickens. The teen chuckles at her brother's expense. I know 17 is fine, but still, say this. The battle continues, and 17 is forced to counter Piccolo's Hell Zone grenade with his own barrier. It seems the demonic forces of hell really have no effect on this man. 17 also suggests to move to somewhere where less nature can be destroyed. How very considerate. 17 commends Piccolo on his power. It is indeed superhuman. No, Super Saiyan. He realizes that Piccolo isn't the old Demon King anymore, but something else. Whatever it is. God? And if Piccolo doesn't feel like telling him, they'll keep fighting until he does. The fight continues, and Piccolo throws some massive shade, saying that 17 doesn't punch very hard. It's insulting his pepper. 17 declares himself to be the strongest warrior of all time. And let me just say, wow. The arrogance on 17, who can't even read power levels, who is about to meet his fate. The 17 who hasn't won a single tournament says that he's the strongest warrior of all time. But that's who he is. In this climactic battle against God, away from the minds of others and his passive desires, 17 has awakened to his empowered self. His unbridled instincts in the face of God, his equal, told Lapis he was the strongest warrior of all time, and Cell arrives. This is the climax of Lapis's arc, a boxing match with God, which isn't unprecedented. There is a story in the Bible, Genesis 32:22, where a man, Jacob, wrestled God for a whole night and won, like on some Record of Ragnarok tip. Using a full Nelson, I assume, Jacob wouldn't let go until God blessed him. However, it was at the expense of his hip. In this comparison, Lapis failed to ask God his name, nor for a blessing. It explains a lot about where he's at. 17 gets a good look and thinks Cell is a freak. He tells Cell that he annoys him and to go away because he's not finished playing with God. Piccolo tries to warn 17 about Cell's absorption and ends up defending 17 against Cell. Maybe that's God's blessing for all the good it did. 17 learns of Cell's origins by Piccolo and Cell's own goal to become perfect, quote unquote, via fusing with both him and his sister. 17 asks why he would want to do that if he already is the ultimate warrior. This again. Again, considering the situation, the arrogance is blinding. But hey, follow your bliss. 16 warns 17 of Cell's power level, demanding that 17 runs away because Cell's ultimate purpose is to destroy the universe in time. But 17 doesn't want to hear it. He thinks running away is stupid, making new Piccolo have to jump Cell. It's strange to me that 16 isn't on Cell's side, but I suppose Cell's objective of destroying the universe isn't in line with just killing Goku. Cell no diffs new God King Piccolo. 17 thinks he's dead. 17 is determined still. Which, props, I guess. 18 sees all of this and surmises she should run for her life, as instructed, while 16 for the first time chooses to fight to defend the universe in order to have a chance to kill Goku. 18 tells him not to fight Cell because the results are obvious. 16 smiles and exclaims that he enjoyed their time with Lapis and Zuli because they didn't kill for fun. 16 saved a still fighting 17 at the last minute. 17 doesn't understand why 16 stepped in. He assumes 16 has some death wish of some kind. 16 claims to have power equal to Cell and that he doesn't know what would happen until he tries. Unfortunately, Cell has surpassed attacks with Hell in its name. 16 reminds everyone that they should run, but 17 says that he ain't going nowhere just because he got hurt and he wants to finish Cell off once and for all. 17 really doesn't fear death at all. He may actually welcome it in his own playful way. He calls out to Cell to stop hiding and ask and you shall receive. 17 didn't run in the end. It was his courage that was his own undoing. 18 is clocked out. She just saw her powerful brother die, and it takes 16 to move her to safety. But it's all over. Cell is too powerful. 18 threatens to off herself if Cell carries on this way. Cell attempts a saving throw, but all those sacrificial lambs didn't boost his persuasion skill. 18 reveals that both her and her brother hated that Gero turned them into cyborgs. When given the chance by Tien, 18 doesn't destroy herself, but instead checks on 16. She wants to try and escape with him. And they do. 18 definitely cared that her brother is gone. She essentially watched him die. She's just been conditioned not to respond. But Cell is an actual terrorist, so it's only a matter of time until he either finds her or blows her up. He'd do it too. Cell shouting from the sky like some twisted mirror of God King Piccolo says he's already strong enough as is. So you didn't need her. Which is a lie. 18 calls him an asshole, which is accurate, and continues to neg Cell by ghosting him entirely. Cell responds by blowing up her phone and the islands one by one. That's a bold move, Cotton. 18 realizes Cell is calling her bluff. 16 reminds everyone that her durability is above island level. Fuck. Maybe Cell sees through Raptor vision? Well, I guess we'll never know because Vegeta arrives to save his ego. 18 sees a weak man against the callous monster that killed God and her brother, claiming to defeat that monster. 18 can't believe Vegeta has gotten stronger in such a short amount of time. It's inhumane, but not insane. So they decide to stay put, hiding close to Cell. Because a newly affirmed and empowered Super Vegeta is going to wipe that smug smirk off Cell's face and make Cell worry about what's going to happen to himself. 18 sees Vegeta fight and surmises that Vegeta was just pretending to be weak. but that would serve no purpose. It's then that 18 notices Krillin, and she instantly recognizes the device near him as a "that was easy" button. Krillin breaks the button without triggering its circuit, leaving 18 genuinely stunned and confused. The last thing she expected was for a perfect stranger to spare her life. She was so shocked it broke through her shell with just as much ease. She yells at Krillin, "Why? Why didn't you kill me when you had the chance?" Catching the attention of Cell. Vegeta's turncoat as perpetuating toxic masculinity, 18's only weakness. Trunks tries to kick the ways of the old generation, but it's too late. 18 was blinded and was absorbed by Cell decisively non-sexually, allowing Cell to reach his perfected alpha male form. Lapis and Lazuli do not kill for fun. It's just not part of the Bushido. So what could have made them throw away the Bushido code? For any reason, once a warrior defy the code, the only reasonable thing left to do is to commit Harry Carry. But what if you're immortal? And maybe this was the idea for two immortal cyborgs. Maybe this is their death after betraying the code of the Bushido. Even with all the military power in the world, they are depressed, angry, and trapped. Fascism could not save their souls. Only death did. In this main timeline, 17 and 18 experienced what could have been the death of them both. The only other they ever cared about. Not that they were incapable of caring for another. It was losing their own life, or the life of a loved one. Something they never experienced, or couldn't have even fathomed in the original timeline. This experience delivered reference to why it's even considered wrong to kill for fun. I wouldn't be surprised if 17 was still mulling over the idea in his head up until he developed a family. God help them. But now in Super's timeline, through the lens of ego death, it is Lapis and Lazuli's choice to make every day. That's the meaning that rings true during the results of the Tournament of Power. Even in this brighter timeline, 18 is still surmised as cold, quote unquote, by Whis, comparing her to ice cream. Cold, but also sweet. Punks follow rules, but typically not the nonsensical ones. That experience made sense of why not to kill. Lapis and Lazuli are reflections of the human condition. There are two wolves inside of you. One that says, "show no fear," and the other that says, "it's more exciting this way." They're both sociopaths. They both decide your course. Hey, thanks for making it this far. I need a favor. Just a quick favor. Can you like the video? Just for the algorithm. And can you maybe comment something? Maybe anything. Just for the algorithm. Much obliged. Totally appreciate it. Oh man. I don't even think anyone's gonna watch this video. I have so many other videos just like this, and it's like has like no views. Oh, that's depressing. I put a lot of work into this. decent amount of work into this. I did it. You should check him out too. You seem good at listening to stuff. It's like a podcast kind of thing. Well, maybe if I make a playlist. Gotta get on making that playlist. I should have probably turned off the microphone. Hey, enjoy your next video. Stupid.